Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Plumbing Piping Work Examining Board. Today is July 28, 2022. At this time, I would ask a board member to approve the minutes of our last meeting of April 21st, 2022, please.
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Jay. Motion by Melissa, second by Jay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. That was you, Kimberly?
Yes,
And Melissa, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I was an aye.
You were an aye. Okay, so we have, the ayes have it. Thank you. At this time, I'd like Karen Lehman to introduce Verinda Birdsong for us this morning.
Yes, we have Verinda Birdsong here. She's a fairly new employee to DCP. She is a license and application analyst, but more importantly, she's a board she's slowly transitioning into the board administrator role. She will be the board administrator for your board and several others as well. So she's here with us today just to observe, and then your next meeting she will be in this role that I've been doing with you for quite a long time now. So I'm just going to have Verinda speak for a minute if she would like to and introduce herself before we move on.
Morning to everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm Ms. Birdsong. I will be coordinating all 14 boards, and I think you are aware of the commissioner's notice as to when I will be running your board, and all boards received the same crafted letter of introduction in terms of when I will begin doing the board administration piece. More information will come out as we go along in terms of some of the centralization that needs to happen from 4 people to 1 person. It's been challenging, it's been interesting. I certainly hope to learn quite a bit about this board. And I think some of you on the plumbing board heard some of my background and experience. I'm not new to state service or federal service or municipality service, nor military service as a veteran. I bring lots of experience in corporate America as well. Glad to be here.
Ms. Birdsong, glad to have you on board. Appreciate your service to our country as well as a veteran.
Welcome. My pleasure. My family is a military family, so we served in about 3 different branches, and I was Army. So glad to be here. And
We're glad you're here.
Oh, nice to meet you, Verinda.
Is that Mr. Moore?
It is.
Hi, I don't think I met you
Nope.
during the hearing, but a pleasure to meet you.
Same here.
Mr. Moore, a pleasure indeed. Hope to learn a lot.
Hi, Verinda. I'm Kim.
Hi, Kim. How are you? Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Yep. Plan to learn quite a bit from all of what I've seen in the documentations presented. So, please give me that opportunity to onboard. The more I know about your business, your language, the better I can craft minutes and notes and serve you. So thank you for the welcome. It's appreciated.
Thank you.
Good morning, Verinda. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your service also.
Thank you.
You will learn a lot. You will learn.
Yes, I've already said that I think I have the best inside scoop seat there is. So when I hire my plumber, I'll say, wait a minute, I got some friends I can talk to. I'm just teasing.
That's right.
Appleby Plumbing.
Oh, boy. I know Peter's thinking of something right now, but anyhow.
No, I'm good, Chuck. I'm good.
Okay, beautiful. All right, we can move on here. Let's take a quick look before we start old business with the complaint status report. Everybody get one of those in their package?
Yep.
Looks like it's been very busy. This report is onto a back page. We have 9 cases this month. Or in a tri-month, I should say 3 months. Looks like all have been closed by the department. Just give everybody a minute or so here to review that. And if they have any questions, we do have, Pam Brown is here and we have Janita Hamill.
I have a question, Chuck.
Sure, Melissa.
This is probably the first report that I see so many unsubstantiated claims. Did anyone else notice that? And maybe I'm glad you're on, Janita, because this is an interesting one. I don't remember seeing one with so many unsubstantiated claims.
I
I guess there isn't much to say to that, right?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I might have permission to speak.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing you're probably thinking of, Janita. Please, yes, go ahead. You have the floor.
In response to the board member Melissa Sheffy's question, there are times where claims will be unsubstantiated, and especially in the case of an anonymous complaint, we have nobody to go back to say, hey, we contacted the respondent, we contacted the company, we contacted the contractor. Can you tell us, do you have a site where they're working? Can you tell us who you saw working? Just like if it was a new board member, welcome Kimberly Fortin. If she was down on that, she's down on that job site in Stanford, and if they were to file an anonymous complaint and say, oh, we've got unlicensed New York plumbers working there, and we go to do a site inspection by the time, and we're there, and there's nobody there that day, but we have nobody to go back to and say, hey, on the day you sent the complaint, who did you see? You know, get a little additional information. Sometimes it's consumers or complainants submitting the complaints, and we investigate it, and there's no licensing violation, or there's no substantiation to the allegations they're making. Sometimes it's a flat out dispute of facts in a civil matter, and the respondent company or the contract, not the company, because we know we license people, not the companies, are properly licensed. And now it's the allegations they're making are unsubstantiated. It's a civil matter. You know, we will go back to the complainant with a letter if we don't have enough information that says, oh, by the way, we need this. We'll list what we need for them to provide to us. That letter also says, if you don't provide it to us within 30 days, the department will close your file. We tend to leave them open. Sometimes we leave them open probably too long and go back at the complainant and with an email, a phone call. Can you please send us something that we can utilize to go back, because they're saying they're denying your allegation. So
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks, Janita.
not a problem. Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Any other questions? I think you had a question, sir?
I do. Your role is kind of extending out a little bit for a short term, I believe, I hope. Could you explain, and then for that way the board understands what's happening with the changes within the department with your job, your role, perhaps?
For a short period of time, I am assisting the department as a subject matter expert for the fact that Richard Hurlbert has retired and his role has effectively ended. He came back as a retired estate worker, retiree. I don't know the exact proper terminology. The department has put out a new job posting for state program manager for occupational trades. That person will become the subject matter expert. Pamela Brown is here. She can correct me if I'm incorrect in that. But for now, I am assisting on the application review working groups in the position where Richard Hurlbert was. I am assisting the department and the legal department with regards to being subject matter expert. But that is in the short term. I would say within the next 3 months, the new person will be on board. I guess, I don't know, 3 to 4 months, and in which case I will step back into my regular role as supervising special investigator for investigations under Pamela Brown to do enforcement matters for continuing the site inspections, the complaint investigations. So for now, I'm juggling all three.
Thank you, Janita. Appreciate you stepping up and supporting that role for the time being. And I enjoyed having you working with me in the working group meeting just the other day. Thank you again.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the compliment.
Okay, old business, Public Act 22-104. There is a Public Act changes to the occupational licensing statutes. We do have a link. You know, I don't know if you want to go over it, Karen, if you have that link that you could, or is it just so large, it's easier for the board members just to get that on their own time? What do you think, Karen? Do you have anything?
It is large, but I think, and you know, maybe Cynthia could help out or correct me if I'm wrong. The two things that I'm very aware of in this Public Act that affects Chapter 393 is requiring people that are doing the work to have an invoice and or contract. And also in there are changes to continuing education where online classes are allowed, everybody's aware of. And then there are certain specifics to those online classes that the provider has to follow. I think those are the two key points from that. Yeah, it's like 90 pages or something, that Public Act. But I think those are the two areas that would affect this board, or the licensees, plumbing licensees.
Thank you, Karen. Does any of the board members have any questions? We have been working diligently, the electrical board chairman, myself, working with new online information and stuff like that. Just wondering if, and the contract stuff, we worked closely with Attorney Avalone and Leslie O'Brien and the commissioner in regards to getting stuff over to the legislature in time for the session. And if you want, we can put this on the next agenda if you have any questions, so you can thoroughly look through the regs, statutes, I should say, going forward. Is that okay with everybody, or does anybody have any questions today?
I agree with you, Chuck. I'd like to have a moment to read that over and before
I agree.
the next meeting would be probably the most appropriate.
Great. Can you do that for us? Ms. Birdsong, can you please have in our next plumbing board meeting, Under line item 1, there is a link that we would like to be able to discuss at the next meeting. If we could put that in old business in the next meeting.
Yes, this is for Public Act number 22-104.
Correct.
Yes, I certainly will.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Under old business, number 2.
Can I just add one thing that might be helpful? If anybody here wants to note it, on page 59 is where the area is in that public act that addresses the invoices / contracts. And then on page 66, that's where the continuing education part of it is.
59 and 66.
59 and 66. Yes, I went through and I did highlight that there.
Thanks,
All
Karen.
right. Sorry.
Thank you.
about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Can't make it more easier than that, guys, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely look through in case I missed something, but those are the two
Yeah.
areas that I saw that affect your boards.
Great. Number 2, backflow prevention device. Continued discussion regarding the licensure of backflow prevention devices. I believe we have Dave. I don't. Still here, Dave Waskowitz.
We have Dave Waskowitz. Can you hear us, Dave? We also have Wayne Roderick, but I'm not sure if Dave can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Great. Dave, you have somebody with you also that's with the sprinkler board or something? Another individual with you this morning?
Yes, I put it out to the whole board if they wanted to attend the meeting, and Wayne Roderick, he's a board member. He's on the Zoom meeting.
Okay. Hi, Wayne. How are you? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. How are you? And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for serving the boards. Okay, so I'm going to just read this out for the fact that we have a little discussion here. The Fire Protection Sprinkler Systems Work Examining Board, the Fire Board, would like to move forward with proposing changes to the regulations or statutes pertaining to backflow prevention devices. Therefore, all members of the Fire Board were invited to the April 21, 22 meeting of the Plumbing Pipe and Examining Board for discussion. Fire Board Chairperson Dave Waskowitz attended the April 21, 22 meeting and provided information regarding current licensure for backflow prevention devices, as well as background regarding the concerns that have been expressed at previous Fire Board meetings. A motion was made by Christopher Bowman, seconded by Peter Alfieri, to table this item until today, July 28, 2022, Plumbing Piping Work Examining Board meeting to allow board members to conduct a proper research on this topic. The motion passed unanimously. Fire Protection Sprinkler Systems Work Examining Board members have received an invitation in this meeting for further discussion. Okay. So, David, I'm going to give you the floor first, and then followed by Wayne Roderick.
Well, as I stated in the April meeting there, it was, I have to say, unbeknownst to the Fire Board, that somewhere out of a magic hat, this got pulled out by former Director Hurlbert, that the backflows have to be installed by the plumber on a fire line. And it was a shock to us to find that out. And we started the ball rolling. And to summarize, I was told that it had to, the plumbing board had to sign off on it. I contacted Chairman Appleby. He was very adamant about not moving at all on this. And we're now looking to put backflows. The F license holders are not looking to do backflows on domestic water lines, only on the fire line. I thought it was ludicrous to have a plumber come in and install a backflow on a fire line. And there was some feedback from board members that, their concern was the safety of the water system. Well, I mean, it's been done, it's like saying you're gonna put the backflow in on a fire line where you're not licensed to work on the fire line. So, I mean, it's like a tit for tat. So what we were doing was trying to sign off, get talk to Leslie O'Brien. Again, she told me, get the plumbing board to, agree. And that's why I attended the April meeting, and I'm attending this July meeting to see if we could come to terms. And like I say, we're not looking to put any backflows in on a domestic water line, lawn sprinklers, any of that. We're just looking for be able to do the work on the fire line. And basically that's it in a nutshell.
Does any board members have questions at this time for Mr. Waskowitz? Okay, as you know, David, we've talked about this before in the past. As far as I'm concerned, that fire line, the water side, the water main coming in from the utility or from the storage, the protection of potable water is the backflow preventer. So whether it's a fire backflow preventer or a residential, it's still potable water in the eyes of this individual as chairman of the plumbing board. We installed many of these devices, and currently, I would say your next step would be to take it to the next level. And that would be the Department of Administrative Services. I would take it to the state building official, to the Codes and Standards Committees, to bring these discussions up with them. If you want to make legislative changes, statute changes to this, I don't want to stop you to do that. Obviously, I want you to meet with these individuals and Department of Health. Obviously, I have a copy today of the cross connection control manual that I had put in a bound copy that anybody, my board members do have a copy of this that was sent to them as well, including documents dating back a couple of years and different information on cross connections. David, I would probably take it to the next level, take it up to Joe Cassidy, Billy Abbott, the state fire marshal, and get their opinion as well before you make a legislative change to this information.
Chuck, you don't understand. This Department of Consumer Protection will not move without the plumbing board signing off on this, because you were adamant about it. They're not going to move on it. That's why I want to get the whole board's opinion. And like I said, our apprentices, our fitters, they're well trained in backflow prevention. Chuck, I spent 44 years in the fire protection industry. And in that 44 years, there was never a plumber putting a backflow in on the fire line that I installed. So I don't understand why you're taking such a stance. I mean, the fire board worked hand in hand with, to get you to get the licensing for the multi-purpose systems, for the plumber. I'm just looking for a little professional courtesy from your board towards the fire board, because like I say, the backflows, it's part of the design. The engineer tells you what type of backflow is going in there, and from the fire, the F2 or the F1 holder is qualified to put it in, and I don't see a problem. My opinion, I don't see a problem with the F license holder putting that backflow in. Like I said, to call a plumber in to put that backflow in on the fire line, and just doesn't make sense. And it's not economical. I mean, it's just, now you're adding an extra cost or whatever, and it's like everything the state seems to want to do is business friendly. Well, this isn't business friendly.
At this point, Waskowitz, the current records with the state of Connecticut as of this morning shows that you have 273 current F1 combination P1 license holders in the state of Connecticut currently. I also feel confident that based on those numbers, this is not even a hardship based on the fact that you have those active licenses out there in the system. So currently, what you're asking the board to do, or our opinion, really, you've already got the people there, whether they're working for the companies or the company, that you are trying to help out to get these things accomplished. I agree. But at this time, 273 active P1, F1 licenses, that doesn't include the P2s, F2s that are coming up through that could certainly help you once they get their contractor licenses at some point. So at this point, like I said, I've asked my board for an opinion. I'll ask them again one more time if they have anything to say. If they have nothing to say, I understand too. I'm not going to twist their arms here. But I think you should take it up the ladder from this point and go towards the Codes and Standards Committee, the fire people, get their opinion, and see and work possibly with the Department of Health here. Obviously, this is the document, you're probably pretty well aware of it, that explains it all. And obviously the plumbing code, the hazard 1, 2, and 3 of the backflow preventer is certainly laid out pretty good in our plumbing code book. So at this point, does anybody with my plumbing
I
board
just
here
want
have
to say
any
one
questions?
thing, Chuck, I just want to say one thing. We could have used that same 273 combination license holders for the multi-purpose residential system, but we didn't. We created a new license category, jumped through hoops and everything, got a test and everything, and to accommodate the plumber. We could have said, there's no need for a F5, F6 category because there was 273 combination license holders in the state of Connecticut, and let them go out do the multi-purpose. No, we stepped to the plate. We did with the right thing. All we're asking is, I want to hear from the plumbing board, the board members, not just Chairman Appleby, what their opinion is as far as the F holder installing the backflow on the fire line.
I'll jump in because I'm probably the minority as the only unlicensed person on this board. But I would just like to go on record that I totally agree with Dave and the sprinkler board. I've always agreed with it. Chuck, those 273 licenses is nothing compared to what needs to happen in construction. So from a business perspective, I look at this like it's a jurisdictional issue. They're only talking about installing the backflow preventers on the fire line. And that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Peter.
that fire line is a branch of the potable water. That backflow preventer is installed to protect potable water. It's the job of the plumber to protect the potable water to that building. I don't believe that we should change anything. It's a health issue, as far as I'm concerned. The wrong person get in there and install it wrong or the wrong device. We're in big trouble. We can't allow that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any other board members have an opinion? Does any other board members at this time have an opinion? Okay, so that's
Just
what
to
we
answer
are.
what Mr. Alfieri said, again, the engineer that's designing the system is telling the installer what backflow shall be installed. It's not the sprinkler fitter or the plumber deciding what's going to go in there. And I mean, there's only, I don't know how, you could install a backflow other than put it in backwards where you're not going to get any water at all. I mean, it's like, I don't know, to me, we're not asking for the moon here. We're just asking to do, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and, the rest of the saying. So, I mean, I don't know, I'm not familiar with your board. I mean, you have other board members here. I'd like to hear them weigh in also. Mr. Alfieri did weigh in, and he holds the same stance as you, Chairman Appleby. But like I said, I'd like to hear from whoever. I'm not familiar with the other board members, so.
Well, I've asked the board twice now in this, if they have an opinion. We have 2 opinions already. You've got the third one from me, so that's 3. Does any other board member want to make a comment at this time?
I agree with Mr. Alfieri.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
I concur with Pete on that as well. It's the plumber's responsibility to ensure the health and welfare of the system. And that's how it's always been on every job that I've been on. And we are in control of that potable water system. So I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So
Just-
Chuck,
Mr.
could I
Roderick-
speak?
Mr. Roderick, have a comment, please?
Well, just to go along with Dave, since I've been doing fire sprinklers, we've always installed our own backflows, double check valves when we were doing those. The state wants to be business friendly. This puts a burden on somebody who's just retrofitting in a fire sprinkler system into their building. It's another cost to get another contractor out there. And then, do all these plumbing contractors out there have insurance to do fire protection? Because if this backflow is not put in the right spot, it could impair the system, such as if you put the backflow too close to the fire pump and it's a high-rise building, you might not get water to the upper floors and things like that. There's a lot of other things that are involved with this. And I just feel, as Dave said, the board's accommodated with the F5 and 6 licenses. We're not looking to do anything. We just want to do standalone fire protection backflows, and it's discouraging to hear what's going on, but that's my opinion.
Thank you, Wayne Roderick, for your information as well. Thank you for appearing in front of the board today. Does anybody else have any further questions in regards to this matter?
I had my hand raised, Chuck.
Oh, okay, David.
I mean, we have Director Brown and Senior Inspector Hamel online. I mean, I guess I'd have to pose a question as far as licensing. Now, when the plumber goes to install that backflow on a fire line, how does that affect licensing?
Who is this question asked to, David? Is this to Janita
Director Brown and Senior Inspector Hamel, who does the enforcement as far as licensing? Who's out there properly doing the work? So I guess my question to both of them, or one or the other, is how is this looked at by the state as far as you use the word jurisdiction? I guess I'll use jurisdiction as far as under the licensing.
So I don't know if Janita would want to take that from the enforcement perspective, but of course, someone sitting for or having the license would have to meet the criteria of the examination requirements, education, background, work-related experience. But if Janita, I don't know if she's actually just has this on in the background or if she's not still present for the meeting, I'm not quite sure.
I apologize. I took a call from a respondent's attorney and I stepped away. If I believe what Fire Board Chairman Waskowitz just asked is, how would we look at it from an enforcement standpoint? We would look at what are the requirements in the licenses for the specific work. And the board has just indicated that at this time, a P1, P2 license is required to do that work. And as far as I can tell, I believe that the fire board has been requested to get a legislative change put forth so that it would be for the fire sprinkler to be allowed to do that. We in my group for enforcement for licensing, look at what is in the statute today, what is in the regulations today, what is the definition of plumbing and piping work today, what is the definition of fire sprinkler, fire protection and piping work today. That's how we look at an inspection with possible violations. That's how we look at a complaint with possible violations. It's what do we have when we look at the statutes and the regulations today?
Thank you, Janita. Thank you. I'm also looking, David, at the future amendments to the 21 International Plumbing Code. I just got a fresh copy off the printer yesterday. It went from 90 pages to approximately 106 for the future. I'm just briefly going through it now to see if there is any changes in the definition of backflow or any information regarding backflow in here. Inspections and testing is there. It's amended on page 85 of those administrative information. David, see this document right here?
Yes,
Okay, you can download a copy of this from the state building officials website. I take this copy, the state does not give them to you anymore. I take them down to Staples. You can obviously get it on electronic, but I take it down to Staples and actually make a bound copy for myself. I just got it done yesterday. It's the current that's coming up as effective of October 1st. So there's some information in there you might want to look at yourself, just for the heck of it, just sharing that with you. The responsibilities and stuff like that, who is responsible. There's some information I'm reading on that right now. But is there any other questions that you have for anybody else, David, at this time?
like I said, Chuck, and I said back in April, we were looking to get a legislative change, which is the proper procedure to do. But unfortunately, the state will not do anything without the plumbing board's okay to proceed. So we can't proceed with a legislative change without an okay from you guys to go ahead. That's all we're asking. You know, we'll roll the dice with the building with the gold dome over there and see what they feel. But it's you know, right now it's in a quandary. Like I said, it's not business friendly. Like Wayne said, you know, you're putting an undue cost. And I'll tell you, like Wayne pointed out, it's always been you're a plumber, Chuck. You know yourself, a plumbing company does not pay the same liability insurance as a fire protection contractor. There's a big difference. So maybe we should also get a legislative change to say that somebody putting the backflow in should have the same liability insurance. I mean, you know, it's like, I don't want to go that route, but I'm just saying the plumbing, the fire contractor, the fire protection contractor has a responsibility. And like I say, he's licensed. The state says he's competent to do it, but right now we're at a little Mexican standoff, so to speak.
Dave makes a very good point, Chuck. So if plumbers are going to install it, then they should have to purchase the same insurance because we are talking about public safety.
If you're installing that particular product, is that what you're saying, Melissa?
I mean, it makes sense.
Or all backflow prevention devices throughout the plumbing and heating,
No.
because you're looking at all the trades having to, because we all use backflows when we use chemicals in a heating system in a commercial building. We are
I get
adding.
that. He's only asking for the fire protection ones.
Okay.
So if you're talking about the business aspect of it, and if it is public safety, that makes sense to have the
Well,
higher limit of
yeah.
insurance.
I think that, you know, going forward, I think the plumbing board has a pretty good idea where they want to be here. They've discussed it. Melissa, I appreciate your input. I think it should be something that maybe, like I said, take it up the ladder, on your own without DCP or the plumbing board, I should say. Take it up, work with the Department of Health, work with the fire marshal's office, the building offices where all these codes are. And see the Codes and Standards Committee and go in front of them. They've actually just wrapped up. That's why they created this new document. They just completed and got approved by the Reg Review Committee on April 20th to 22. So go that route. And then if you don't get where you want to see them make changes in the codes and standards for the fire side of things, go to the legislature. That would be my suggestion.
So is the plumbing board in agreement that they'll allow the fire board to go up the ladder, proceed the avenues that, that are out there? I get, I can't make a motion, but I'm asking for, to proceed, like I said, we were told we can't, it's the same thing's gonna come when we go to, whether it's Billy Abbott or
Joe Cassidy.
Yeah, Joe Cassidy.
Mhm.
How's the plumbing board? What's the plumbing board's take? We're not gonna do anything. So that's what I'm saying. That, all we're looking, the whole thing was to get you as a board, I don't want to say to sign off, but to agree that you're not gonna block the fire board's attempt to rectify this problem.
Well, I'm always going to protect the domestic water on any instance, no matter where it's at, whether it's in a heating system, a plumbing system, a domestic water main coming into a sprinkler main. I will always protect that. And I will be there to testify when you're at the legislature, if that's where it has to go, or at Codes and Standards. I will certainly be there to protect that as far as you go. But David, you can go up the ladder. You don't need the board. You can go up there and go in front of them and meet with those individuals and I would obviously bring in the Department of Health, because obviously they're in charge of the making sure that the backflow prevention device is tested to the state standards that have been set forward in this book here. So nobody's stopping you, Dave.
Chuck, you're telling me to go the route you want me to go. I'm going the route that DCP directed me to go. And that's where I'm going. That's why I'm here for the second meeting before this board, to just say, you signed off and you'll agree to, not agree to anything, but just let us follow the steps that we were instructed to take by Leslie O'Brien and the other people at DCP.
Well, this is the plumbing board. We make up our own mind here.
Okay.
And we've basically told you again today how we feel. And if you need to go further, that's up to you. And I appreciate you taking the time to come in front of us again, David.
No, I thank the board for your time and your consideration, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. Okay. Okay, next is line item 3, continued review of the out-of-state occupational trade licenses for determination of Connecticut occupational trade licenses. So at the October 21 application review working group meeting, it was determined that the following licenses are equivalent. The Westchester County Journey Person and the Putnam County Journey Persons. Has everybody seen those, that information given to them in their package today? Should
I'd
be,
like-
yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'd like to say, let me get that open now.
Got you, Jay, now. And then also there's the line item B at the December 21 meeting. We have the Rhode Island Journey Person, which is equivalent to the Connecticut P2.
So let me ask you this, Chuck, in the Putnam County, real quick. The only thing, does she approve 5 years experience is a W-2?
Okay, say that again, Jim. Sorry, I just want to stay.
The
focused.
only thing they have to provide is a W-2 for 5 years experience. For Putnam,
This
for
The question for
Putnam County.
This would, I'm gonna have this question answered by Cynthia Fernandez. Cynthia, are you still with us here?
I am here. I just unfortunately, I don't think I can comment on this aspect. I haven't been involved in it. I think you guys have been.
I forgot, who's on that board anyway? Who's the members on that board, Chuck?
On the committee for this?
Yeah,
It's the working group, so it's
the
Todd,
working group.
myself, and Janita joined us this week. In the past, it had been Richard. And the attorneys for the state, Paulette Annan, had been working with us in the past with all these discussions in regards to, like, guys that had in other words, like, let's give you, for instance, yesterday, Jay, Janita was with me and Todd, and we had a J4. The guy got approved by the board last year. He didn't take the test, which I thought was kind of strange, but he comes in from North Carolina. He's done 15 to 25 listed golf courses. He's the irrigation guy. I mean, the certificates, he's got the OSHA, he's got everything. But he had to come in, as you know, right? Come through the J4 journeyman program first, got approved. So now what you're saying is, because the guy showed all the years that he had been doing this, they're going to let him override the J4 and go right in to take the J3 contractor. And that's what we've been doing lately. So if a guy's coming in, he's got 40 years, he comes in, gets approved for the journeyman. But because he's showing, like you said, the W-2 information and all this other stuff, he's shown that he's been in the trades, he's coming to Connecticut, he wants to work here. And from the city or Westchester County, Putnam County, we're looking at Suffolk County down the road here. We got Rhode Island coming in. We've already approved Massachusetts over the years as well.
I understand that. I know Rhode Island and Massachusetts are very similar. They have separated license. The new journeyman in Putnam is plumbing mechanical. And for them to apply for a plumbing license, it says must provide 5 years of W-2 or plumbing, HVAC, sheet metal, and refrigeration. So with that, I mean, if the guy's done sheet metal for 5 years, he's going to come to Connecticut and apply for a plumbing license just because he has a W-2 from a sheet metal contractor?
Yeah, we look at each one, Jay. I represent, obviously, you guys as the board.
I know that, Chuck, and I know our license is in your best interest, but
I go through the detail. I go through the detail, Jay, as you know, and I think so does Todd on the labor end side of things, because obviously it's an apprenticeship, required or not. He has a vote. We have a director that had a vote here, and now we have an interim director, Janita Hamill, who is doing her best with me, the three of us, to make sure that we follow the latest guidelines provided by DCP. So you got Todd at labor, Janita, and myself. So as things are rolling out, and these have been approved in other meetings in the past, these other areas, we are very carefully looking at every detail. We ask every question. I look under the rug, you know I do, to see if there's something hidden there, like the J4 the other day. Why didn't the guy take the J4, wait it out, take the J3, right? So these were, but when we saw his experience, and when I asked the question to Karen Lehman, she said, Chuck, a lot of times guys do they apply for the license and they sit on it. They might not take it, and the application time expires out, or they'll take it later. They haven't done it in 6 months, but they're going to take it now. He's reapplied, that J4 individual, for the J3, and we approved him yesterday.
I get you, but that's not a combination license, Chuck. This is a combination license. It's a plumbing mechanical license from another state. It's a combination. And if you work for a sheet metal contractor for 5 years, you have a W-2 from a contractor that states you're eligible to take a plumbing license in Connecticut with no plumbing experience. That's just my issue with it. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. And as I move down to the application, where it asks for transcripts for education. There's no transcripts. It just asks you where you went to school. Are they providing transcripts to us?
Hey, Jay, I see what you're talking about here. I see the 5 years experience. You're talking about that Putnam County Trades Board, the new journeyman there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I just don't, the Putnam, hey, listen, I know Massachusetts is reciprocal. I understand that. They have separated license, plumbing, mechanical. Rhode Island has separated plumbing, mechanical. They have education in the specific trade. This is a combination license where they could tell you, I've done sheet metal, right? I've done sheet metal for 5 years, but I work for a contractor and I'm good to take a plumbing license. I don't think the heating, I'm almost positive the heating and cooling board is not going to go for this, saying I work for a plumbing contractor and I'm going to let you sit for an S2. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a minute.
I agree with Jay. I've always
The
agreed
heating
with
board is
Jay.
going to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. This, just because someone has experience, it doesn't mean that they have complete experience. And I understand what you and Janita and Todd are doing, Chuck, but what if you're not here anymore? We're setting precedent here.
Where
And
am
I
I
disagree with that. Well,
Where am
hopefully
I-
nowhere. But you just don't know. I mean, we're setting precedent here and they don't,
No,
you know,
you're right. And-
Massachusetts has schooling. The
They do.
Putnam doesn't.
Massachusetts
Putnam
is
doesn't,
very
right.
equivalent to us. Massachusetts has the same schooling hours, segregated licenses. They have the same on the job hours. They are equivalent. Rhode
And you
Island
know, the
is
governor's been
equivalent.
pushing this and
This is
they just
not
keep
equivalent.
dressing it up
This is
in
what they were
other
trying to
ways.
shove down our throat with the reciprocity, and I'm not buying it. This is being shoved down our throat. This is not reciprocity. This is not the same as a Connecticut license. This
I
is
agree
not
with
even
Jay.
in the same ballpark.
Can I have a
I
little,
agree. I agree
Yeah.
with you, Jay. I agree.
can I take this now? Because I haven't had a chance to review all this stuff, this application process that Jay's bringing up right now. I'd like to review it a little bit further. And if we could move this to the next board meeting, is that okay with you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
That's
But
fine. That's
I
good.
also like to see the West, and I'm sorry, I haven't looked over to Westchester either, Chuck. So.
Yeah, let me look at it too. Again, I haven't looked at these documents. I see what you're talking about. There's quite a bit of information here. I need to further investigate. I was working
Yeah,
mostly.
it's too much for me to make a motion on a whim here.
Yeah.
I'm not making it. And if we are making a motion, I vote no.
Can we postpone it till the next board meeting?
Absolutely.
We'll bring
I
this
make
as-
a motion to table this till next board meeting.
I second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Chairman, this is Ms. Birdsong. I just want to confirm the motion to postpone for old business for the October meeting was, the motion was made by Peter and seconded by Ms. Sheffield.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, unanimous vote. And we'll move that and table it till we further study the application processes. And they'll give me a chance to, guys, to try to get some other application processes around that we're looking at, like Nevada and some Pennsylvania's and some stuff like that. Okay, does that make sense? Till give me a chance to get some more state stuff.
Are these states, my question, Chuck, are these states, are they going to be reciprocal with, if they have a state license, are we going to be reciprocal with them? Or is it, reciprocation to me is a two-way street. It's
Right,
not reciprocity. One side isn't reciprocity.
I know. So all of a sudden,
So
we have,
that's my issue with the reciprocity thing.
Yeah.
Rhode Island and Massachusetts are reciprocal with us. If I,
Right.
if I go there and I say, hey, I have a P1 in Connecticut, I could sit and take that test in Rhode Island. If I do it in Massachusetts, I could take that test.
Yep.
If I let somebody from Nevada come here and take my test, can I go to Nevada and take the test?
I think it would be a state by state basis, Jay. I
Well,
know.
that-
I know. I do know that.
That's why I'm so dead against this. I mean, I agree with our surrounding states. We have contractors that come back and forth. Open Shop has contractors that come back and forth, which is fine. But to let people from Nevada grab a Connecticut license, come up here and bring a bunch of people up. I don't care if it's union, non-union, that's not even the case in point. You're taking away work that's people in Connecticut should be doing that have earned the license, and they're being
Right.
pushed out of a job that we're going to give a license to somebody across the country to come here and do the work. I am dead against this 100%. I do not agree with it at all.
And I hope we can get some legal representation. Cynthia, can you go up the chain of command in the legal side of this and have them present at the next board meeting as well to explain all this out?
Yes, definitely. I'll follow up with that.
Great.
Chuck,
thank you.
Janita and Pam have their hands up.
Have their hands up.
Yeah,
Yes,
Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations. I just want to make a statement that it's reciprocity is different from equivalency. So what you were looking at today is an equivalency, not a reciprocity. Reciprocity is an agreement between states. Also, they have to be caution. I have to caution you on, language that says we're not going to approve people coming in from out of state, take jobs away from those who are in Connecticut because that borders on antitrust. Thank you.
If they have the equivalency, Ms. Brown, if they have the training that's allowed here in Connecticut if they have the same education and the on-the-job hours, I'm in total agreement they should be allowed to take the test. But if they don't, just like Putnam, Putnam County is a combination license. We do not have that in the state of Connecticut. It's a different license. It's a different training, it's 100% different than what is in the state of Connecticut.
Just look over at Westchester too, when you get a minute, Chuck. Westchester is just strictly plumbing. So, yeah, thanks, Pete.
Right, I just wanted to point out, anti-competitive and also.
I
there's a
understand
difference
that. I know
between
that.
equivalency
I let
and
my emotions
reciprocity.
run high, Ms. Brown. I understand. I know that you can't say those things and you can't put it in black and white. But my issue is when they're not equivalent and people here in the state of Connecticut have gone through 4 years of apprenticeship. They went to school, they got on the job hours. For someone to come in from another state with a combination license that potentially did not work on plumbing, but say they got a W-2 from a sheet metal contractor and they never once touched a piece of PVC pipe, domestic water, or anything that has to do with plumbing, to come here and be eligible to take the tests, I do not feel that is fair to the people of Connecticut, the licensed people of Connecticut.
Thank you, Jay. Janita, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for promoting me, but no, I'm not an acting director. I am still a supervising special investigator. I am assisting with the application review working group. To Mr. Moore's point, and to reiterate what Director Brown just said, it's not reciprocity, Jay. It's equivalency, and it's to be looked at as equivalency, not that it's reciprocal. The other thing to possibly put the board or your mind at ease, these license types were presented or talked about before, and you're looking at them to see if they make the equivalency portion. You've tabled it. I want you to know that from a standpoint of being on the application review working groups, and even when I was sitting in prior to Mr. Hurlbert's final meeting with the application review working groups, these applications, I know the chairman look at them. I've been looking at them, Mr. Hurlbert's been looking at them, and Todd Belcourt from Department of Labor. And each individual application is reviewed on a case-by-case situation. And I will tell you, it is not based on a W-2. It is, what do you have for work experience? Is it from your employer? Is it notarized? Do you have related instruction? Do you have a license in another state? Can you provide the statutes and the regulations from that state where you're licensed, so that can be looked at? Is it comparable to what we have here in the state of Connecticut? Okay, so it's not just somebody looking at somebody's W-2 and here you go. It is, you fill out your application. What do you have for a work history? What do you have for hands-on? Do you hold a license in another state? What did you take for related instruction? How long have you been in the trade? How many other licenses across the state, across the country do you have? What do they have for statutes and regulations, and what can you provide? Because when I stepped away and I wasn't here when Chairman Waskowitz was asking the questions earlier, I was on the phone with an attorney for a series of applicants who I need additional information from them for a meeting that's coming up. And said, you have to provide this additional information so we can give you a fair evaluation and a fair shot. And that's where we look at it from an equivalency standpoint, not that it's reciprocal and not that somebody's getting rubber stamped. Okay?
Thanks, Janita. I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I understand everyone here understands what I'm saying. I just,
No.
the reciprocity, I
with-
refer back to reciprocity because the last legislative session, it was, reciprocity was a hot topic and,
Without a
Mr.
doubt, without
Yeah,
a doubt.
Mr. Doc really wanted to push that forward and it took a lot of work on, people to fight that legislation down. And I just don't want to go back down that road. So, you know.
I agree with Jay, and Janita, I think, thanks for pointing that out, and Pam as well. It's really about protecting people that have gone through all the schooling that we have, and I think everybody understands that, and we're all probably frustrated on this board because it keeps coming before us and we keep saying no.
Yeah, well, it's just it's a common theme. I mean, we went through a whole legislative session. I mean, it was the massive part of it. And, you know, the people that weren't that weren't for it were able to get it pushed back. And now it's coming in a different form. So when you can't get something through one way, if you can't get through the front door, let's try the back door. And
Right.
and knowing the political climate, I'm just making sure that the back door isn't open.
Thanks, Jay, for that. Thanks, Melissa.
Enough said, it's tabled, right? We're all
Yes,
gonna look at it.
Okay, Jay, that's what we're all here for. And we'll table it to the next meeting when we have, further questions going forward, because as you know, October is gonna be right here around the corner. I can't believe it.
I know. That's, I'm preparing to see if this is gonna be on the docket again.
Well, we're gonna make sure it is. So I appreciate your input. Is there anything else in regards to this? We got the Rhode Island, you're good with that. Well drilling regulations. Did everybody get a copy after probably late yesterday afternoon of the geothermal 17-year regulations that were presented yesterday afternoon to the board through an email from Karen? Thank you, Karen, for this. Perhaps Cynthia, you've been following this document for the probably the last few years, I guess.
Yes, it's been about almost 4 years at this point, but thank goodness, that's my reason for attending this meeting. They're finalized, they're effective, and I hope everyone saw the copy, but I just wanted to, make sure everyone knew that we're done. They're in finally, and it's a big relief, and congratulations to everyone. I know you guys have worked on this for literally almost 2 decades. So I just wanted to make sure everyone saw that.
Yes, and I want the board to know, I did reach out to Aaron Nachbar. He's currently driving across country right now with a new water truck for his company. I brought him up to speed on this morning. We had a conversation when he was on the road, and as our well drilling member of the board, he is grateful as well. I want to thank the entire committee, starting with Jerry Padula, who asked me questions on this. I believe it may have been over 2 governors ago. It was when this all started. And I want to thank Jerry. I want to thank the department right down through. This thing could have been killed a few months ago. Leslie O'Brien pulled it back together again, thank God. I want to thank all the legal staff, the commissioner, obviously, for all her work. Thank you for the Attorney General signing off on this, and our new Secretary of State, Mark Kohler. I don't know if everybody saw his document that he signed off on July 8th on this as well, by Christopher Drake in his office. And in the Attorney General's office, Mike Wertheimer, he's the Deputy Associate Attorney General, signed off and approved this as well, including the Governor's office. We have something on the books. It's not going to be the wild, wild west anymore. And we have control of this document through the Plumbing Board. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you, Chuck.
Okay. Is there anything? Oh, application review working group. I'll bring that up because obviously I'm the designated board member. Everything's been going well the last few months. Todd, Richard, Richard's no longer, as you know, on that group. Janita came in the other day, as you know, to help out with that. I appreciate that. I know other boards have had as many as 30 applications per month in their box to go through. We only had one this month, only one. So thanks, Janita. Thanks, Pam, for sharing her with us to get this done short term. And our next board meeting is going to be October 20th. Does anybody have any correspondence or comments they want to make today prior to next board meeting? Nobody has their hand up, I believe. I think we're all good. Do I get a motion to close out this meeting today?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
We have a
second that.
Oh, we have Peter Alfieri seconding. I appreciate that. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
And everybody enjoy the rest of their summer best they can through this terrible heat wave, and be safe, drink plenty of water, and we will see you in October.
All right, take it easy, everyone.
Thank you.